right, guys, it is that time. We're going to start in just a couple of minutes. If now we're back here in the dressing room, waiting, getting ready for the show. We are pumped. We are ready. We are really excited about the premiere tonight. We're ready to kick off. We are all ready to go. And if you are not ready, if you are not seated, if you are not down front, if you did not get a front row seat, you are missing out. Get down there, find a seat, squeeze in someplace, because we are getting ready to go right now.
Kcoc, Texas. It's the Tonight Show starring Krista. Joe is a shepherd here at the Kcoc, a father of three, a loving husband, and he is the best chiropractor this side of Kings Creek. He's here this week to share his journey of faith. And now, here he is, your host, Krista. To the Tonight Show. This is the show to be at. We have an incredible night planned for y'all, and I'm really glad that y'all are here. So, as all good Tonight Shows start off, we're going to talk about what people are talking about. So, in the news, some of you may have heard this, some of you may not. Walmart is breaking the ground on the shopping experience. A couple weeks ago, Walmart announced that they are implementing a new shopping strategy. They have picked 20 Walmarts nationwide, and one of those Walmarts is the Walmart right here in Kaufman, Texas. So, they are revolutionizing the shopping experience. They've decided what they're doing is they're giving every employee at these 20 select stores a promotion to supervisor.
Wait, supervisor?
Every single one of them.
How are they going to afford that?
Well, see, this is how it works. So, they've devised this new app. It's called Scan and Go. Have y'all seen this app?
Yeah.
So, what you do, you download this app to your phone, you go through the store, and as you shop, you scan items, you bag them, and then when you're done, you just press checkout right there on the phone, and you're done.
Really?
Yeah, you can leave. So now, if you're an employee at Walmart, you get to stand around and supervise all of the customers doing the work for you. So it's almost as good as working on a steak job, only in the air conditioning.
Well, I miss the good old days when self-checkout was faster and less complicated. It was called shoplifting.
Oh, yeah. You know what the nice thing about self-checkout is?
What?
I don't know about you, but when I use self-checkout, I always get the nicest looking cashier. So, whenever I go self-checkout. So, in other news, earlier this week, there were reports that there was a mouse spotted in the Sunshine School kitchen.
Really?
Right downstairs. Really? Yeah. Crazy stuff caused quite the stir. When reporters asked the director for a statement, she commented with this. I think we got a video.
Three blind mice, see how they run, see how...
There you go.
There's preschool record.
That's preschool record for you. So, in the mouse news. So, we got a great show for you tonight, everybody. It is going to be a good night tonight. We have very special guests stopping by. And we're just very excited for the season premiere. Next week, so you know what's coming up this season, James Henderson will be stopping by, and I've challenged him to a lip sync battle. So you'll want to be here for that. Really, the season is filled with absolutely extraordinary guests. You're not going to want to miss any of these upcoming shows. But first, we have a great show for you tonight. One of our shepherds, Joe Darragh, is stopping by. Later on in the show, I will challenge Joe to Bad Dad Joke competition. So we're going to have that. All that and more right after the break. Y'all come back.
I believe. I totally believe.
I definitely believe.
I definitely believe.
There's scientific evidence. I read about it once.
There's archaeological evidence.
There's all kinds of documentation.
Incredible people heard voices.
I heard the voices. Bright light.
There was bright lights in the sky.
There was a great light. I was even abducted once.
Wait, what? Dude, we're talking about the Bible.
We're not talking about aliens?
Wait, we're not talking about aliens.
We're not talking about aliens.
Our guest tonight is a wonderful shepherd, a great husband, a fantastic father of three, as well as a chiropractor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Joe Darragh. All right.
Wow.
So, Joe, thank you for coming. This
Great
is.
set. I like this.
Thank you. Thank you. This is the first show, the season premiere. So how's it feel to be the very first guest on the Tonight Show?
It's pretty exciting. I'm more excited about my new job. I have a new job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a supervisor at Walmart.
Hey, all right. Got that promotion. That comes with an increase in pay. Just the job title. That's the only increase there. So.
I'm supervisor.
Supervisor. That's it. Get some business cards.
At
So,
Walmart.
At Walmart. So
Here in Kaufman.
here in Kaufman. 1 of 20. 1 of 20 stores only.
That's what I've heard.
So for our audience members, we do have some participation that can go on. Joe is going to be sharing with us in just a few moments, and as he talks, if you have a question you would like to ask him, you can text those questions in, and we'll be addressing those questions later on in the show. In order to join that text conversation, if you text Chris Dowell 82 to 37607, receive a little message back saying that you've joined that group, and then you simply just type your messages in as a reply to that, and we will receive those messages here, and here in a little bit we will get to all those questions. If you do not have a texting device, you can quietly use your neighbors to send your question in, or there are some note cards and pens back there on the table by the sound booth. You can get one of those, write your questions down, and during the next commercial break, you can bring those questions up here, and we'll get to those. So, now Joe, you are a very diversely talented guy. Professionally, you're a chiropractor, you're a family man. How many years have you and Cindy been married now?
Married for 32 years.
32 years.
Yeah. My wife is a very smart woman. She made one mistake in her life.
And she's been paying for it for
Yes.
35 years. You're also a father. You got 3 daughters.
3 daughters, yeah.
One of them's here tonight with us. And then you've also accepted the role of one of our shepherds here. How long have you been a shepherd here at Kaufman?
I think that's kind of a good question. I'm not sure that I know, but it's been a long time.
A long time.
It has been a long time.
All right, well, there you go.
Maybe, how long? Maybe 12 years?
12 years. All right. That's good. So much.
13.
And then in your free time, also organize and lead worship here.
I do.
It's just, it's amazing, it's inspiring to see all the things that you squeeze into your time, the way that you spend the time that you have volunteering and serving. And tonight, for our audience tonight, if you wouldn't mind just kind of sharing with us a little bit of your story, a little bit of your testimony, how you got to where you are today.
Well, I'm not sure that my story is all that crazy. I grew up in a very, very small town, Van, Texas. Anybody ever heard of Van, Texas? Anybody from Van? Shout out. Van was a very small town, and the church in that town was the most significant thing for me. But the town itself, I remember when we got our first traffic light in town. And it really wasn't even a traffic light, it was just this red blinking light. Just blink, 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 4-way stop. I don't even know why they needed it, it was just 4-way stop. And today, they've upgraded, now it's just a red blinking light that just blinks. No upgrade. But I remember us going down and sitting in the parking lot of the gas station, and we would just watch it blink, and we thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty exciting stuff. But the church there was pretty significant to me, and I grew up there, and they took in our family, and we were members there for the whole time that I was growing up. I think we moved there when I was 3, and so my mom and dad still attend there, and that's just been a kind of a significant part of my life. It's kind of in a lot of ways, the GPS center of kind of where my faith started, I think. And they would even take us boys on like the 5th Sunday night. There would be like 4 Sunday nights through the year where there would be a 5th Sunday night, and they would have us, all the young boys, do the program for the night. So one would like do a little Devo, and one would sing some songs, one would read scripture, and so there was also kind of that mentoring aspect, where they kind of grew us up in that way too. I was there actually before there was even a youth ministry there. Youth ministry kind of came on after I left, and so you can definitely tell how old I am, kind of older than dirt. But I think I was in college when Van got their first youth minister, and I thought it was a pretty cool deal, and they continued to have youth ministers after that. So I left there and went to college and went to chiropractic school eventually, and I met my wife. Well, we really kind of had an arranged marriage, I think, something like that. She was in the church there at Van. So at some point in time, my mother and my dad both taught school, and she was in my mother's class, and she walked in, I think it was the 6th grade or 7th grade, something like that.
Both.
And she said, "I'm going to marry your son someday." She was like in the 6th grade, and I'm like 4 years older than her. I said, "What? That's not going to happen." And you should never say never, because it can definitely happen. So we started dating when I was in college. I think she was in college too, and started dating. And I went down to chiropractic school was down by Houston, and she went to pharmacy school at the same time, and we got married with about a year left in school. So then the rest is kind of history. Moved to Kaufman, had 3 daughters. Life is good, that's all I can say. Just got one at home for 3 more months.
So growing up in the church, you said that was kind of a central part. Did you ever see yourself being a worship minister, being a shepherd, leading in the church in that way?
Actually, when I was growing up, I had a really close friend, and his family were real good friends with my family. And so I can remember when his dad and my dad became deacons in the church here in Van. And I can remember him saying to me, my friend's name was Tracy, I remember Tracy saying, "You and I are going to be deacons someday." I said, "I don't know, maybe someday, I don't know." And so then several years later, they both became elders at the same time. And he came to me and he said, "You and I are going to be elders someday." And I said, "You can, but I'm not. I'm never going to do that." And he said, "Why not?" And I said, "Well, I know it's hard. It's a really tough job, and I've seen my parents kind of grieve over people having relationship struggles and problems in the church and that kind of thing. I'm never, ever going to be an elder." In fact, I told you about the fact that the boys would do that Sunday night service every 5th Sunday night. And the other part of that is that we would get down there at 5:30 on Sunday night, and we would decide amongst ourselves, okay, this boy's going to do this song, and this boy's going to do this prayer, and here's one's going to read a scripture. And I would say, "I will do anything that y'all want me to do. Don't make me lead a song. I do not want to lead a song." And so the 2 things that I said I would never ever do are the 2 things that I do now. So kind of crazy. Never say never.
Never say never. So did you say you weren't going to be a chiropractor?
No, I didn't say that.
Is that what you always wanted to do?
No, actually, I wanted to do what Dr. Wilson does. I wanted to be an optometrist. And that was a very, very strong desire of mine, to be an optometrist someday. As a very young boy, I went to a doctor in a neighboring town, there was an optometrist that I really liked and admired, and I thought, I want to do that someday. I want to do what he does. His name was Dr. Norris. And I thought, I want to do what he does. He was really good with kids, and I thought, I think I can do that. And I studied about it, looked into it, researched it and all that stuff. I didn't have the internet, but I researched it anyway. And I thought, that's what I want to do. And even up until the time that I went into college, that's still what I wanted to do. But kind of a series of events happened. I felt God was kind of pulling me and leading me in another direction. I had a grandmother that had some back trouble, and she was scheduled for back surgery. And a chiropractor moved into our town in Van, and my mother scheduled my grandmother an appointment just as kind of this desperation kind of thing. And my grandma said, I'm not going to that quack. And so, but she went, and then, so after a little while, they were able to postpone surgery, and after a while, they canceled surgery. She never had to have surgery. So that kind of pulled me in that direction. And then I had a cousin that I really admired, and I was at a family reunion one time, and he said, you know, if I was young like you, I would be a chiropractor. He said, I think that would be a really good thing to do. So then I really started kind of looking into it. And there's a test that you take to go to optometry school, and there's a test that you take to go to chiropractic school. And so I studied for this test to go to optometry school, studied, and I got all the materials, and I bombed it. I mean, bombed it bad, really, really bad. But the test to go into chiropractic school, I passed like crazy. And I retook the optometry school test and scored like crazy good. And they said there's no way that you could have scored that bad and then scored that good unless there was like some kind of computer error or something like that. And so what it did, though, it delayed me getting into optometry school long enough for me to get into chiropractic school. And literally on the same day, I got a letter from optometry school accepting me and a letter from chiropractic school accepting me, and I took the one that I felt like the God was speaking me to.
It's interesting how God works in those things, and even those things that we want to do so bad, and then those ways that God kind of moves and shifts things.
Absolutely.
Shifts things around. So how do you see God moving in your life? I mean, obviously, you've had several things that, as a child, said, I'm never going to do that, but then eventually kind of moved into those and felt called to do those. You didn't start out looking at chiropractic, but have been moved and called into that. So how do you see God moving in your life? How do you hear and decipher those callings?
So you're asking me how I hear God move in my life, or?
Yeah.
I think that it happens in a variety of ways. For me, worship and song is a really big thing. And I think that I hear that through song sometimes. I'll wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and there'll be like this song that I haven't thought about in forever. And it's just like, you ever get a song stuck in your head, you know, you can't like get it out. It's just like going over and over and over. And I wake up in the middle of the night and that song is just kind of stuck in my head. And within a day or two, sometimes something will happen that will remind me of that song, that there'll be a line out of that song or the chorus that somehow kind of makes sense to me. So I think that God whispers to us in a variety of ways, and through that, maybe in dreams and just in the way that we move about our life. I think God speaks to us in that way. Is that an answer that you're looking for there?
That's the answer I'm looking for. So looking at
Mountain Dew, by the way, it's pretty good. Y'all do Mountain Dew.
So looking at your life as a shepherd. Again, that was one of those things that you said you didn't want to do growing up. What was the shift, or maybe been several things throughout your life that have shifted and kind of changed your view on that, and where that became something that you felt more called to?
I don't know that I would say that there was any one thing. It's just a long series of things. But probably about the time that I felt led to do that, there was a long list of couples in our life, mine and Cindy's life, who were struggling in their marriage. And we found ourselves kind of counseling and talking to and working through some of those relationship struggles. And it just kind of like blossomed into that, I think, at some point in time, that we began to kind of see ourselves and imagine ourselves in that way. And while I'm a shepherd and maybe I get the title and all that stuff, there's no way that I could do it without my wife and kids and people that are close to me in my life. So.
So what? How to phrase this? So as a shepherd, as a leader here, I know that you pour yourself into a lot of people, and you mentioned as a child watching your parents as shepherds kind of hang over the church and some of the burdens that they have to carry. So how is it that you stay close to God, you stay plugged into God, in a life where you're constantly pouring yourself out?
That's a really good question, and I wish that I could tell you that I had a 40-step plan on how I do that, but life does get pretty complicated at times. And I think that instead of saying that I have this 3-hour-a-day plan of how to reconnect and how to meditate and all those things, I think I just have to find it piecemeal throughout the day. And sometimes that can be from things that I read inspirational, through reading, through studying, through song, listening to worship songs. I think is a pretty big thing for me. Just being connected to my wife and kids is a big deal as well. Friends that are close to us. And Mountain Dew, that really helps. That really helps.
Keeps you plugged in, keeps you encouraged.
I did tell you I was a supervisor, right? At
Yes,
Walmart.
supervisor at Walmart. So that's where the Mountain Dew came from. So bought it myself.
I think I was supervising.
So you supervised it. I did.
And go.
Scanned it.
I saw that.
Bagged it. Checked out.
I saw that.
So what advice would you have, for a room full of students as they're living their life, as they're looking for that path in their life of what to do, where to go, and kind of that pivotal moment in their life right now?
I think it's really good to make plans, to see yourself in ways, imagine yourself of what you want to do, but I think that ultimately you really have to let life dictate what it's going to do to you, let God kind of lead you through those things. And I can definitely say that I'm one, and Cindy is one, that we desperately try to plan out all the parts and pieces of our life, and I think that you can get pretty tripped up doing that. So I really think that you have to listen to God, to pray, meditate on what you feel like that God is leading you to do, what fits you, what makes you happy, what you can be passionate about, all those kinds of things, and stay close to a group of friends that can point you in the right direction too. I think the friends that you keep are so vitally important. You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but just don't pick your friends' noses. That's good advice, right?
That's good advice. So on the level, staying with advice. So you talked about life has a lot of ways of kind of moving things and changing things, changing plans on you. We talked about keeping kind of how you keep that faith through pouring yourself out. What do you think would be, looking back on your youth, you grew up in the church, but you're one that has stayed plugged in, active in the church, not only as just a member, but also, as we said, volunteering in several different capacities, and pouring yourself out. So looking back, what are some things that really firmed up that foundation for you as a child, and things that even through your life, that you found that have kind of kept you plugged in to the church and helped your relationship with God?
I don't know that there's any one thing other than the fact that my dad would have killed me if I had done something that he would not have been proud of. So, and I don't mean that as kind of hyperbole. He would have killed me. He would have gone to jail, I'm pretty sure. That's how I got hooked on Mountain Dew, actually. and so, but I think that there's a variety of things. It's just surrounding yourself with people who will point you in those directions. I've always been one to just be a part of a church family somewhere. Even when I was in college, we were always part of a church family somehow or another. I think it's just always been something that's been important to me.
So making church and being plugged in somewhere a priority, no matter where you're at, and building those important relationships through those people at church. So you grew up in Van. You went to school down near Houston. How did you end up back here in Kcoc?
I had sent out resumes to a number of people or a number of chiropractors in Dallas, and there was a chiropractor in Dallas who I sent a resume to, who sent my resume to a doctor in Kaufman, and so he and I were able to hook up in that way and connect, and I worked with him for 7 or 8 years until he retired. So that's how we ended up in Kaufman.
So how long have you been here?
30 years, almost 30 years. My whole life, basically. We raised our kids here, and you know, we have 3 very lovely girls that I'm very proud of. We wanted 2 of them, but we got 3. No, seriously, we started having kids, and we had 2, and we had a lot of trouble having kids. We had to jump through some major hoops to have the 2 kids that we had at the time, and so we were getting a little older, you know, and so we told the doctor, said, we want to have that surgery that moms and dads have, so they stop having kids after 2. And he said, no, you don't have to do that. He said, you just have to not take this medicine that she's been taking to be able to. And I thought, that sounds like a setup. That does not sound right. And even with that and with some other preventative measures, we still end up with a 3rd. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Absolutely the best thing.
I remember as we were kind of talking before all of this, you mentioned that you'd asked, Darcy if it was okay if you talked about that, and I felt like telling you then, but I figured I'd save it until now. She's definitely makes it known that she's a miracle child. Does not hide that fact that she's special. So she knows, and she's proud of that. So you're gonna say something else?
No.
No. Okay.
I was going to tell you I'm a supervisor at Walmart.
So everyone's a supervisor at Walmart. So I'm lead cashier.
Really?
Yeah.
Mr. Scan and Go.
Yes. So use it quite often. Sometimes multiple times a day. So I'm in there scanning and going.
How come I can't lip sync?
Huh?
How come I can't lip sync?
It just kind of popped into my head. So kind of this is a premiere. Huh?
Are you really lip syncing?
I'm lip syncing right now.
Oh.
So this whole show is pre-recorded.
Well, I didn't say
And
that.
I'm just this whole show has been lip synced. Is there any other advice or anything that you would offer? Any other major things that you would kind of pass on to a room full of students?
That's a really big question. Do whatever it takes to stay close to the Lord. Pick the right friends, because I have seen so many times that, like a brother two brothers or a brother and a sister, one would have really good friends that that kind of kept you in the right place, and the other would have friends that kind of pulled you in another direction. And let's face it, when we were all teens at one point in time, and it's easy to be pulled in a direction. And so those kinds of things can set wheels in motion that are really, really hard to change. And so what seems like the easy way out is usually the hard way. You think you're taking the easy way out, but sometimes just doing it right is the easy way out. And follow your heart. That's definitely something I would say.
Good words of wisdom. So doing things right the first time also always saves you headaches in the long run. And making sure you pick your friends wisely, as you say. So pick them, but not the nose.
So we're not lip syncing.
So we're gonna do some jokes here.
Okay.
So, which you've already interjected several times. So you're ahead of the game. So we're ahead of schedule right now. But I'll share the Joe story. So if you don't mind. So we don't go way back, but we go back about 2.5 years. And the first time I met you was on a computer screen. We were FaceTiming.
That's true.
During the interview process.
I still remember what you had on.
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
It was like a maroon smoking jacket. Smoking jacket.
I don't
Have you
think
been smoking?
I don't think I own any smoking jackets, and I don't think I own a maroon one. So I would though. I do have my A&M shirt on underneath because I knew you were going to be wearing burnt orange tonight. So
Maybe it was just the Scott thing. Maybe
probably the coloration on the screen. So low poor connectivity somewhere.
Possibly.
It could be. The Joe is actually Joe and Cindy is actually one of the main reasons that are big contributing factors for us coming here. And throughout the interview process, when we came, y'all opened up your home for us to stay there and kept us there. And Stephanie and I had kind of a rough transition from where we were at. And we're still kind of in a low spot even during that interview process. And I can remember sitting in talking with y'all on the phone and the shepherds collectively, and just the ministry that y'all offered there, the comfort and reassurance, and then sitting in y'all's living room and y'all talking with Stephanie and I, and just that heart of a shepherd really shone in those moments as y'all kind of talked and comforted and brought some healing from that dark place where we were at. And I remember you pulled me aside. You may not remember this before early on. I don't remember if it was. I guess it was right that first time that we came, and you said, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not, I'm just one of the shepherds. I'm not on the search team and all of that. But you said no matter what happens, you said I'm gonna stay in touch with you. I'm gonna be your shepherd until you land somewhere. And so even before we started here, even before we were members here, you stepped out and became a shepherd to us. And I can remember getting those text messages from you saying, I have no idea what the search team is talking about. I'm just checking in on you. And so I've seen the heart of the Darraghs and just the way that he is a natural shepherd, the way that he and Cindy talk and comfort and counsel people, and so many people that they've talked to in the many years that they have been together, even before they were a shepherding couple. They are a source of strength. They're a source of good advice, sound advice, and voice of comfort. So I appreciate your heart
I appreciate all of the service that you do, all the ways that you volunteer, and I've filled in for you in weeks that you've been out leading worship, and I know the amount of work it is to put that together, and to think that you do that as well as the families that you shepherd and keep up with, and on top of that, having a full-time job. And, yeah, as a chiropractor and as a supervisor at Walmart, you do tremendous things, and you truly use all of the time that you have, and you dedicated your life to the service of the Lord, and I appreciate that, the example that you set, and just your willingness, especially to come here tonight and share with our students. And so I want to thank you, and students want to thank you. We're not done yet. After the break, we're going to answer some more questions. There's more questions that have come in. You may have written a question if you want to bring one of those up.
So can I say something about the questions?
Yes.
So one time I went and Cindy asked me to go talk to her class in high school. Well, I guess it was 6th grade maybe.
Yeah, 6th grade.
6th grade, and she asked me to go talk to her class, and they were doing like this science thing, and they wanted maybe some professionals to come in and talk to their class. And so she said, at the end of the class, y'all can ask him whatever question you want to. You should never ask a 6th grader.
I'm filtering all the questions that are coming in.
The first 3 questions they asked had to do about farts. So I'm not answering any questions about that. So this
Chemistry class. I mean, there's chemical makeups there. Different things involved there. So it was on topic. The class, so
maybe.
When you're in 6th grade, farts are always the topic, no matter what class you're in. So that's always on topic. All right. So if you have any questions that you wrote, you can bring those up. We're going to get to those right after the break.
Have you or a friend been blindsided by boredom? Were you injured while left alone after school? You need to contact us at after school break time.
I got hit by boredom real bad, but the offices at after school break time got me into a fun-filled afternoon.
We are available every Wednesday after school. Don't let after school boredom wreck your day. Call us at 1-800-BREAK TIME.
So before the break, we heard the awesome story of Dr. Joe Darragh. You were given the opportunity to text in some questions, so we have some questions. So let's see here. One, Joe, what were you thinking before you came on stage?
I was thinking that I was happy to have my Mountain Dew. I was thinking that.
Your daughter is the one that keeps you in on the Mountain Dew, so she knows you well.
That's why we had her.
We need somebody to give me Mountain Dew in a few years, so we need one more. All right, I think some of these are some inside questions, I think, from your family that's here. It says, what joke are the 3 girls fighting over to tell at your funeral?
It's not really a joke. It's kind of based on a true story, but I think we'd gone to a funeral one day, and we were sitting around that night, I think, outside around the fire, and I just made a statement. I said, when I go, I don't want a funeral. I want like a worship time. I want something happy. I said, I would like if y'all 3 girls would just like tell my stupid jokes. And so they started fighting over who got to tell what joke. I mean, it got kind of uncomfortable at some point in time. But they liked my story that. You probably don't know this about me, but from the time that I was in the 1st grade, all the way through chiropractic school, I made straight A's. All the way through. My B's were kind of crooked, but I could really make my A's.
I like that. That's a good dad joke right there. Already scared. Scared. I'm scared of the one, and this could be from the third daughter, but it says, "Do you enjoy being a father of three?"
Is it from her?
It doesn't say. It's all
If it was her, I would
anonymous.
say no.
From
anybody else, I'd say yes.
All right. So they could skew the answer with her sitting in the front row, but I don't know who it came from. It's all anonymous, so which is probably going to make the
It's
questions
scary.
more interesting. So, but I just don't read all of them. I read them, and 6 responses just came in just now. What is the most fun thing that you've done with your girls? So, favorite memory.
Well, we went to Alaska one time. I thought that was a pretty cool trip, but honestly, just sitting in the backyard around the fire pit and visiting, that's probably the best. Just getting to connect. Plus stupid jokes. Drink Mountain Dew.
There you go. So just those good, just simple times. So
Sure.
they can be the good ones. So, all right. Please answer the fart question.
Is that from her?
Who knows? So, probably from Cindy, judging by laughing at that. So, all right, here's a survival question, another one for life. It says, how do you make it through with 3 girls and a wife? So you're outnumbered 4-1, really. So,
I just gave in a long time ago. I just realized that my place is pretty low. I'm completely outnumbered. Before we moved into the house that we're in now, we lived in what is our shop now. And so it's like 800 square feet or something. And that's really kind of misleading because part of it is like the roof is this way, and so you have to kind of do this to, so it's a pretty small place, and there was this tiny bathroom that was about the size of this couch. And so 3 girls, a wife, and trying to get ready on a school day, that was interesting. It was a lot of fun though.
yeah. So, you see the closet like I have back there, the
Yeah.
dressing room. So
That is a massive space back there. That is really good.
We actually, it's bigger than it is out here. We actually blew out the whole back wall and spent more money on remodeling the dressing room.
Appreciate the massage.
than we did here.
Massage
Yeah,
room is back
yeah. So
there.
we brought that. Spared no expense.
Yes.
Take care of our
Someone was
guests.
rubbing my feet at the same time. It was awesome. What
So-
I was thinking before I came out here is, I don't want to go out there.
Yeah. So at the Mountain Dew shower, fountain going back there. You said, candy bars and stuff you could dip in the Mountain Dew fountain, and
That's great. Silly.
All right. This one probably is from Darcy. Who's your favorite child?
Well, it's her.
Yeah. You aren't here, so.
Tell the other two.
Don't tell the other 2. We'll edit that part out before the show goes out. Do you get nervous before singing at church?
Every time.
Every time.
Terribly nervous. So how cold are my hands when I come sit down?
Like I.
Just terribly nervous. I don't understand it. But there is something, the reason I've never wanted to lead a song when I was a kid is because there is some kind of vulnerability that there is when you are leading worship, leading a song. It's not like you're hiding behind a Bible and a scripture or even something that you prepared to say, or even a prayer where everybody's eyes are closed. There's a certain amount of vulnerability there, and it's really kind of hard. And then there's that factor of trying to keep all the pieces moving around, and who's next, who's supposed to come up front, who gets a baby blessing, that kind of thing. So it's a pretty hard thing. You've been there.
I've been there, so you do it well. So and you hide the nervousness well. So I'm reading David Crowder's book on praise right now, and he mentions early on that he said he closes his eyes a lot when he's on stage and when he's singing, and he said shamefully it's not because I'm just really feeling the song and getting into it. He said I'm terrified to have all those faces looking back at me. He said as many years as I've done it, And as many people as I've sang in front of, he says I still get nervous when I'm up on stage, and so he said there's times I just have to close my eyes so I don't see people out there. So
You like Mr. Crowder?
I do.
You're trying to like
a little bit.
We have a picture of Dave Crowder put up on the screen.
We-
Longer hair.
And the trucker hat.
And a hat.
When I wear my trucker hat,
It's
it's a
first
little
out.
bit more. So
I think his teeth are a little bit jacked up.
a little bit, yeah. So he does have some bigger teeth. So. All right. I think that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your life and your wisdom with us. We like to call bad dad jokes. So we're going to play that right after this final commercial break.
Are you unhappy with your life?
Are you dissatisfied with the way people look at you?
Then you need the latest in nutritional diet.
The Christian Virtues Diet consists of a balanced spiritual fruit diet. In just a few weeks, you will see a noticeable change in your life's production of love, joy, peace, and 6 other essential fruits of the spiritual balanced life. Come to these free classes Sunday mornings at 9:30.
Dad jokes, and I thought since we're both dads with phenomenal senses of humor, it would be fun for us to play this tonight. So the way this works is we have these jokes, but feel free to interject your own original jokes. You can skip through those and read them in whatever order you want, but basically we're just going to take turns reading these, doing these jokes back and forth. Does not live up to the high standards that he has developed over the years of being a father. He's already editing. I'm going to lose this game. So the way this works is we're going to take turns reading these jokes back and forth to one another, trying to make the other person laugh. Whoever laughs the most loses. But in this game, we're all winners. I'm going to bow to your seniority here and allow you to kick us off.
So just bad joke. Right?
Yes.
So I'll lose if I laugh. Is that what it is?
Well, whoever laughs the most is going to, like, you can laugh telling the joke, but it's more like laughing at jokes that are told. So
No lip syncing.
no lip syncing.
Do you know what you call a mountain climber's son? Cliff. I ain't got it.
No. I'm going to steal some out of that. So, you talked about, getting straight A's in school growing up, and I kind of struggled because I am only familiar with 25 letters in the English language. I don't know why. Why?
Yes, I get it. I get it. You ever see a flock of geese flying in the air, and they're flying in a V, and so like wind resistance, all that stuff. Have you ever noticed that one leg of the V is longer than the other? Do you know why one is longer than the other? There's more geese on that side.
Did you know that the first French fry were not actually cooked in France?
Did not know that.
They were cooked in Greece.
Mm. You know what you call a cow with 2 legs?
No idea.
Lean beef.
Lean beef.
And if the cow has no legs, ground beef.
We'll go ahead and stick with livestock. Do you know why chicken coops only have 2 doors?
No, I did not.
Well, because if they had 4 doors, they would be chicken sedans.
Oh, let's see that. Hatchbacks.
Hatchbacks and chicken coops, yeah.
So what did the buffalo say to his son when he dropped him off at school? Bye, son.
That's good. That's good.
Why didn't the vampire attack Taylor Swift?
I can think of a lot of reasons.
Right out there. Because she had bad blood. Getting ready for the lip sync battle next week, ladies.
I really want to come next week.
I'll let you fill in for me.
I had a dream last night that I was a muffler.
Really?
I woke up exhausted.
So maybe a little over the age of some of the audience, but what's Forrest Gump's password?
I think I've heard this one before, but I can't remember what it is.
One, Forrest, one.
Oh, I did.
One, Forrest.
Do you know how many tickles it takes to make an octopus laugh?
No idea.
Tentacles.
10 tickles. 10 tickles to make.
Tentacles, you get it?
To make an octopus laugh. So before I was the head cashier at Walmart, I used to have a job at a
Supervisor.
You're a supervisor. I probably shouldn't tell you this as my supervisor then, but I used to have a job at a calendar factory, but I got fired because I took a couple days off. Can't do that when you work at a calendar factory.
After winter was over, when spring got here, I was so excited, but I wet my plants.
Wet your plants. That happens when you get older. We're in sync right now because the next joke right here. Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bathroom? Because the P is silent. Pterodactyl spelled with a P. Pterodactyl.
I'm reading a book about anti-gravity.
Yeah.
It's impossible to put down.
Oh man, the anti-gravity books there. You just you can't get them down. I don't know if you saw this in the news the other day. A woman was on trial for beating her husband to death.
Wow.
With his guitar collection. The judge says, first offender? She says, no, first a Gibson, then offender.
Gotta admit, that's pretty good.
You can use that one later for the daughters that weren't here. So.
Do you know why the bike could not stand up by itself?
Why the bike could not stand up by itself, I have no idea.
It was too tired.
Too tired. Stand up and you're
Too tired.
So, what do you call someone with no body and no nose? So no body and no nose.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Man, got me. Bonus points for stealing the punchline.
Never trust atoms.
Never trust atoms.
They make up everything. Where's the band?
I know we spend all our money on the dressing room. We for the band.
The drum set.
Do you want to hear a joke about a piece of paper?
Sure.
Never mind, it's terrible.
Terrible. Joke about paper. Terrible. I even tore the paper. Still asked what?
My daughter asked me if I was all right.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm half left.
Athletic. It's good that they watch out for you, though.
Yes.
Did you hear the news that FedEx and UPS are merging?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Now they are fed up.
They're not fed up.
Fed up.
Fed up.
Just fed up.
Why did the Clydesdale give the pony a glass of water?
Don't know.
She was a little horse.
Little horse. I think I skipped one. I'm running out of jokes here. So
That means I won.
that may mean that you won. So I had one that I skipped that I was gonna say. Oh, here we go. All right, last one here. So should have not saved this one for last. It was not very good. The horse one was better. We should probably hit on that one. So What's the best part about living in Switzerland?
I do not know.
I don't know either, but the flag is a big plus.
It's better than the terrible thing.
That's a good, yeah, that's
And,
good. So, all right, you got one more to bestow us with. So, I think you're ahead, anyways. But
I don't know.
I'll bow out.
No, ask that one. Ask that one. I'm not going to ask that one. I think I'm out.
All right. Well, that's good because we're also out of time. So, see, I made that work there. Gotta do that when
I'm
I'm
on a
host.
break. I'm on a break.
You're on a break.
From Walmart.
All right, yeah, we need to let you get back to your supervising job. So that's all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here once again. Conductor, co-host Tom Marcellus is in the back. James Henderson stopping by. We're going to have that lip sync battle, and Joe Darragh may fill in for me. So let's go ahead and pray as we close out tonight. Father God, I thank you for the blessing of tonight. I thank you for the blessing of stories. I thank you for the blessing of the story of Joe and his life, the ways that you have led him, the ways that you have guided him, the ways that you have shaped and molded him through the years. I thank you for the heart of a shepherd. I thank you for the heart of a servant that you have blessed him with, and I pray that you would continue to be with him and with his family, and just continue to bless that family in many more years of service to you. And Father, just as living examples and shining lights of your love. Father, I pray that you would be with everybody that are affected by these storms and these ongoing storms. Father, I pray that you would just continue to watch over them, continue to comfort their families, and just comfort those who are misplaced during this time. Father, I thank you for the blessing of tonight and just having a place to come and fellowship with one another, to get to know one another better. Father, encourage one another on for the rest of this week. Father, I pray that you would just bless us the rest of this week as we go out, as we shine your light. Father, give us your eyes to see people in need around us. Give us your heart to love them and your hands to serve them. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen. All right. Thank you guys for coming. Have a good night.